And I must tell you, it was discouraging that it took the North Koreans right till the end of the year, right until December of 2018, to have any direct negotiation with that team. I consider that a bit of a bad sign, but nonetheless, it's better to be late than never. And certainly by December of 2018, the North Koreans were in fact talking to the U.S. team. And I think some of those discussions led to the recent meeting in Hanoi. Now, what exactly happened in Hanoi? Well, to listen to the U.S. side and to listen to the North Korean side, you would think that perhaps they were at two separate meetings and they never actually met with each other. The U.S. side, for example, said the North Koreans were very vague, had not really described what their proposal was. The North Koreans said, oh, we were very specific, but the U.S. seemed uninterested. Frankly, if you try to put the same narrative, the two narratives together, I think it's important to see that North Korea I think it's clear, put together an important proposition and put it on the table. And that was the proposition to abandon, to dismantle the entire Yongbyon nuclear complex. Well, again, according to the U.S., very vague, not clear how it would have been done. The North Koreans, according to the U.S., said, oh, we have good news for you, but never really fully described it. Speaking as a private citizen, because I'm not a U.S. government official now, I kind of wish the U.S. had spent a little more time seeing what the proposal was. For example, if the North Koreans said, we will dismantle Yongbyon nuclear facility, I would say, as a matter of negotiation, that's good. And I would get out a piece of paper and I would list all the Yongbyon facilities, highly enriched uranium, the plutonium or the graphite moderated reactor that produces plutonium through a reprocessing facility. And I would list all these facilities and I'd say, do you mean this one? Do you mean this one? Do you mean this one? I try to go through the whole thing. It is fair to ask of the North Koreans, what is the totality of their nuclear program? What is the totality? What are the elements of the nuclear program, both within Yongbyon and outside Yongbyon? And then the question would eventually come up, what should be the price for an honest effort to get rid of the Yongbyon facility? The North Koreans, according to the U.S., they asked for all sanctions. Then later, we saw that they were not asking for all sanctions to be dropped. They're asking for certain sanctions, including sanctions on the energy sector. Well, this created a whole other situation for the U.S. Should the U.S. be willing to give up any sanctions for a partial denuclearization? So this comes to the central question, are you going to work step by step, or are you going to work in a very broad, historic deal that happens on 1 or 2 days? I wish they would take one giant leap, and that would be the end of the problem, and we can all go home and enjoy the cherry blossoms in April. The reality is, it's going to be one small, difficult step at a time. So I think that's the reality. So the question is, can we take some sanctions relief? After all, they are supposed to be dismantling Yongbyon permanently. We have to check if that's true. But if they do something permanent and we do sanctions relief, can't we just put the sanctions on again if they do not make step 2 or step 3? That is, aren't the sanctions available to put back on? That is, if they've dismantled Yongbyon, but then they refuse to do anything else, maybe we have to put the sanctions back on.